Hi everyone, I'm Simon. I head up the EMEA team at Skai. Going to be talking today to Steve Edwards from Tesco Media. Should be a good conversation. I hope you enjoyed. Well, Steve, welcome. Great to see you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your role.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Steve. Thanks for having us. I am a born and bred Leicester City fan. Father of 6, so you know, busy at home, busy at work. I spent the last 10 years or so in the retail space. Yeah. So I spent 9 years of that at Amazon, and most recently about 1.5 years or so at Tesco Media, where I'm at right now. My formative years were in out of home. Yeah. But on the digital side of out of home, I still love out of home. We still work really closely with out of home partners. Spent a number of years there, and then moved into digital. But as I say, like last 10 years in the retail space and in the retail media, tech and data space. So yeah, okay, that's me.
Great. Thank you for the intro. Tell us, before we get into it, I'm interested to know about the beer that you've chosen here.
Yeah, it looks serious, doesn't it? It's actually not serious at all. It's like 3.4. It's a Verdant, and you cannot see through it. So I don't know if you can see that. It's just, you can't see through that. But it's very nice, very easy pint. Nothing too serious. I've got quite a bit of work to do this afternoon, so I just want to make sure I didn't take it. I didn't go crazy.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Great.
It's nice. I'm enjoying it.
So before we jump in, tell us more about this pub, this location. What drove it?
So we're in the Blue Maids.
Yeah.
I'm a Leicester City fan. They are in many ways my Blue Maids. The beer here is great, so they've got a really good selection. And it's in the middle of the new media hub of Borough, Southwark, Bermondsey, etc. So yeah, I spent quite a lot of time in this area, and yeah, here we are.
Good choice, the Mighty Foxes.
The Mighty Foxes. Well, once mighty.
Yeah, Captain Morgan.
Maybe mighty again.
Yeah, exactly. Right, and then finally, peak of the week. What's a highlight, either personally or professionally, from the last week?
Yeah, so professionally, we are just going into our kind of like annual planning. So Tesco has this slightly strange financial year, which runs 1st of March to end of February. Yep. And so we're starting to sit down and have conversations. So I run all of our agency partnerships. This is the time of year where we sit down and figure out, what have we been doing that's working really well? What do we want to be doing going into next year? So we've had some brilliant meetings this week with some of our key partners on setting the agenda for next year, which is great.
Great. Yeah. Well, let's jump into it.
Yeah. Okay.
So when we last spoke, you talked a lot about unification of the different modules or elements of retail media. Yeah. Tell us more about what's driving that. Is it client-based? Is that feedback coming through? And what are the steps that you're taking to make that happen?
Yeah, we work in a really interesting market segment in retail media that's undergoing a rapid amount of change and transformation, really high velocity growth area, which is amazing to be part of. Yep. But I also think it's fair to say that it's an incredibly confusing space, especially when you think about CPG advertisers and the way in which agencies kind of operate with those CPG advertisers. So there are a lot of different teams, there's a lot of different decision makers, there's different budgets, there's silos. For sure. Some clients are more integrated than others. But the consistent theme that we hear is, how should we organize ourselves for success? Right. How do we put the component parts of trade, commercial, shopper, e-commerce, media, brand, data together? Yeah. Right. Which is again not easy, but it's the right conversation to be having. Yeah. And how do we organize ourselves to be able to do that? And then how do we not just set the foundations for success, but also have the right kind of measurement frameworks to do that? So a lot of the work that we're doing is really figuring out, how do we create the conditions to collaborate really effectively with a wide variety of stakeholders. Okay. And that also then plays out into the kind of technology space. You know, the partnerships we have with people like Skai, which are designed to create common interfaces and common entry points to enable people to more easily and efficiently manage the retail media business that they're doing with us today. So, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's work in progress. Sure. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, but I would argue that the ways of working conversations with clients and agencies and how to put those component parts together is probably the most common question that we get day to day, week to week.
That makes sense. And actually, I think this isn't new for Tesco, right? Clubcard is marking its 30th anniversary this year. Happy anniversary, right?
Thank you very much.
No worries. And just within that, there's just a huge amount of data assets that you have, right? The unifications we talked about of the different parts. Just want to understand a little bit more about how you bring everything together utilizing that Clubcard data.
Yeah, so everything I was talking about before in terms of how do we put all these component parts together. So, we have this sort of positioning that we've had for quite a while now, which is sofa to store. So we have all these on-site, off-site, in-store touch points that really enable us to reach customers at every stage of the media consumption shopping journey, right?
Yep.
And that's great as a narrative, but it only really works if you have like that common understanding of the customer.
Yes.
And you get that through Clubcard, right? So as you say, Clubcard is not new. It was our 30th anniversary I think it was Valentine's Day this year. So we're nearly 31.
Got it.
And so that enables us to create this really rich and really deep understanding of customers at every different stage of their customer journey. And without that, our ability to put all these component parts together and help to answer some of those questions around, and we still talk about the funnel, right? The funnel is dead, long as the funnel.
Yeah.
About full funnel marketing and about how above the line or brand activity works with lower funnel or performance activity. You can only do that if you have that common identifier.
Yeah.
And that enables us to do things that we think are incredibly important but really unique. Being able to connect things like offsite exposure to somebody purchasing in store, right? And that allows us to do some really interesting and creative things with insights, and with the insight products that we build and that we work with partners to help inform planning cycles, help to inform major brand releases, new product development, et cetera, all the way through to activation through audiences, category audiences, predictive audiences, et cetera, optimization, and then really critically in the measurement space. So yeah, it's the glue that really holds our proposition together, and it's also incredibly scaled. We're talking about 24 million households have a Clubcard. Yep. 84% of everything that's sold in the Tesco environment has a Clubcard attached to it. So that gives us a really great opportunity to provide relevance to advertisers and also importantly to customers.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And then one of the other newest developments, and we saw this at the upfronts that you did recently, is the generative AI-powered creative studio.
Yeah.
So tell us more about the motivations behind that and what that is solving for.
Yeah. This is a really important release for us. There's a lot of focus and there's a lot of excitement from our clients and agencies about what we're doing here, because if you think about that sofa to store proposition and all of those touch points, right? We have existing partnerships with broadcasters, with social channels, out home. We have connected store proposition as well as our e-commerce proposition.
Yep.
That creates this really varied canvas to tell stories, right? And to communicate to customers. But also what it does is creates a whole load of complexity from a creative and from a production perspective.
Yeah.
And we also have, this is a really important part of our business, very clear and persistent policies around creative and how that creative appears in those different environments.
Yeah.
And how that creative feels natural and native to customers when they're engaging with it, when they're seeing it.
Yeah.
And we recognize that that's a big burden from a production perspective, from a creative perspective. And AI is everywhere in our business. We've been very engaged with AI for a number of years, particularly in our data science business. And it feels natural that we would utilize AI to help alleviate some of those pain points.
Yeah, well known for it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Humby heritage, et cetera.
Yes, exactly. So it's a really kind of cool part of our history and of our future, but utilizing AI to help alleviate that pain and being able to create multiple versions of creative, both for full funnel activity, but also to enable some really interesting creative optimizations that are powered by data.
Yeah.
Is really important that we try and solve for that through technology. So that's really what the Creative Studio is designed to do.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And then just building from that, because you mentioned it a couple of times, right? You've got a vast array of clients and brands that you work with, right? And so there's going to be a huge amount of nuance and differences to the experiences that they can choose. Tell us a little more about how you think about best practices in that environment, and how you can provide those experiences while retaining your policies and best practices.
Yeah, it's a really big question. It's a really important one, and I think what we try and do, what we hope to try and do, is to create the conditions for collaboration that allow us to do brilliant work. So kind of mentioned that before, but maybe talk about that a little bit more, and then make sure that as we build that work, and best practice is a moving target, right? It evolves really quickly, especially in the space that we're in, that we highlight and celebrate and model that kind of work. And I mean, a really simple but effective way of doing that is the awards circuit, right? And we're heavily engaged in the awards circuit, and we're reaping some good rewards of that.
Yep.
So when we're talking about setting up the conditions to create brilliant work, often, and this might sound really simple, but it's actually really hard. Often it's about getting the right stakeholders in the room.
Yep.
And figuring out what are the jobs that need to be done? What are we trying to achieve? Like, forget silos and job titles and like budget ownership and responsibilities, but what are we trying to achieve here?
Yeah.
Figure that out. Figure out what the objectives are, figure out, what the requirements from a creative perspective might be. Yeah. And then we can figure out who does what afterwards. We kind of sometimes refer to that in our business as agnostic planning.
Yep.
And we're doing some of that work with some of our key clients. And when that works really well, what we end up with is work that utilizes multiple touch points. Yeah. And we like Dr. Grace Kite's kind of lots of little sort of thinking about how brands are built through many small touch points rather than this big bang kind of theory that is prevalent in early years of media. That then results in things that really resonate for our customers, but also deliver results for our clients. And there's there's a few examples of this, but the one that I think we're spending a lot of time talking about in market at the minute, and it's recently been part of kind of awards programs that we've been involved in. Some of the work that we've been doing with Nestle and with KitKat, with MPD, where they utilize a wide variety of our touch points, everything from out of home all the way through to how they utilize our data and our kind of audiences in social. And that's really enabled them with open minds, who are at the center of that task around kind of planning and strategy and activation, to deliver a brilliant campaign that is really starting to turn the heads of the industry in terms of the awards circuit, but also, and let's not forget this, real results that it's driving for product sales in Tesco stores. So being able to balance that out is kind of really important. But there are many, many examples of this that we're doing across the market. But yeah, it's work in progress, but we're pretty pleased with how it's going. Yeah,
that sounds great. We're doing a lot more of that ourselves, actually, just the collaborative planning, breaking down the silos, just internally, but then starting to see more of those sorts of workshop sessions with some of the more open agencies as well. So it's great to hear that you're thinking and doing exactly that and leading the charge there.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a pet sort of project of mine, if you like. I don't know if that's the right way of looking at it, but one of the questions that I hear, like every week I'll hear this, maybe every day I'll hear this, depends on the week, is we launch a new product, right? Or there's a feature release, or I don't know, whatever it may all be.
Yep.
And you push this into market, and the question that comes back is, we don't know where this sits, right? Do you ever get that?
Yeah.
So we recently launched a video product.
Yeah.
We have some of this with our out-of-home placements that kind of sits somewhere between shop marketing and digital out-of-home.
Yeah.
And we have lots of questions around where does this sit? And I guess what that says to me is there's a lot of people trying to work out how do they organize themselves for success in the retail media space.
Yeah.
But it's also a massive opportunity to collaborate. And that's really what we're kind of leaning into. And so a lot of the work that we're doing with our best clients is about taking those stakeholders from different communities and sometimes putting people in the room who've never met before, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes our clients may be different to the agency's client.
Yeah.
And as I say before, it's like, let's not necessarily worry too much about where does this fit, or is it in scope or out of scope, or whose job is it, but does it make sense for what you're trying to achieve? And starting to kind of like almost sort of look at the bigger picture and figure that out first, and then refine the way in which we get briefed, refine the way in which we respond to that brief, and try and put those component parts.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it resonates totally. We try to start with the use case. Therefore. And it's similar concept, but yeah, 100% agree.
It's very easy to focus on like product or channel, if you like. And that, I think, sometimes deepens the silo and comes at a cost of collaboration. Sometimes you have to like balance that out. You have to balance like speed to market that sometimes silos can help with. And
I agree.
And integration. It sometimes depends on the client, the agency, the use case, the brief, the product. But when and where we can, we're trying to collaborate as much as possible.
Understood. Makes perfect sense. So, final question from me is looking into the future. Love to get your thoughts on the big changes that you see, the next horizons. Where's it going within the retail media space? Talked a little bit about omni-channel and the component parts. Love to just get your view around where we're heading.
Yeah, so I could probably answer this a number of different ways, right? So there's so many interesting things that are happening in our business and in the wider kind of, retail tech data industry, but for simplicity's sake, I'll maybe focus on one thing.
Fine.
So I don't think the retail media community talks about creative enough, right? I think it's often, I understand where it comes from, right? But it's often easy to pigeonhole retail media as a transactional environment, kind of somebody else's job, clever kids in the corner of the agency, they do retail media, right? And I think we need to talk about creative storytelling. I think we need to talk about, what does most effective creative treatments look like in aisle, right? Like aisle for creative, if you like. And what does influencer and creator content look like within the retail space, within the retail environments? And a key component part of that, and something that like back in my days at Amazon, I never experienced this, and my mind's been blown at Tesco around this, is the power and the potential of the store environment for creative storytelling. And so there's a lot of effort in our business at the minute being put on how do we look at that environment as a media channel, right? Both in terms of, looking at that environment differently from a measurement perspective, but also from a creative perspective, from an experiential perspective. You'll probably seen some of the work that we've been doing over the course of the past year and a half or so to wrap our stores or to create really interesting experiences with media, with these vast spaces that millions of people are visiting every day or every other day. We think there's a massive opportunity there. We've been heavily investing in this channel to digitize this channel, so more screen inventory. That obviously has benefits from a sustainability perspective, but in terms of the creative dynamism that you can deliver in that environment, it's massively important. And even if you look at, say, the partnerships that we have with people like Vauxhall, for instance, in the non-endemic space, a large part of that is how do they create really rich and rewarding customer experiences around, say, for instance, things like EV charging points. It talks to stores being seen as a creative media channel, and I think we've just as an industry just scratched the surface on that. And I know like we're all really invested and really interested in the stuff that we're doing in e-commerce and the work that we're doing with people such as yourselves to make that much more dynamic and harness that opportunity as it presents itself, which is really important. But a significant proportion of sales that happen in Tesco still happen in the store, and we believe that there's an enormous creative opportunity in that space.
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, many of the CPGs I speak to talk about how important those experiences are and the brand opportunities, the stories that they can tell, and that feels like the investment will centralize where retailers are providing the ability to do to tell those stories, right? So it makes an awful lot of sense, and I totally agree with you. I mean, we've been in the social space, we were at FMP in 2011, and we've had a creative center for many years. So we focus a lot on the feedback loops and breaking down what's resonating within the creative itself, and then again creating those virtuous circles and driving the performance and breaking down those silos again is important.
And I think that kind of relationship with the customer is really interesting, right? So you'll hear this across the market. Everyone says they're customer obsessed, right? Or everything starts with the customer, everything like that.
Sure.
I think the thing that I've noticed at Tesco is that relationship with the customer is way more like embedded. If you just go into a Tesco store and you see the amount of work that we do in individual stores with like local communities and local charity initiatives, you see the conversations that get played out between members of staff and customers, right?
Yeah.
What we try and do is we really think about that relationship with the customer in everything that we do. And sometimes that might mean that we're a little bit more deliberate in terms of the way in which we take things to market, and we're a little bit more, kind of understanding of what that impacts on the customer is. But our view is customer trust comes before anything else. Right? If we don't have that trust with our customers, then we don't have a media business. And what we want to do, and I was mentioning before, like the partnership that we have with Vauxhall and with Publicis, right?
Yeah.
Is what we want to do is we want to create partnerships and work that delivers for a brand, that obviously works for our kind of media business and the objectives that we have, but most importantly delivers for Tesco and Tesco's customers.
Yeah, makes sense.
And it's it can feel a little bit like a throwaway line, but this is a really, really important part of our business, and we're constantly educating clients and our agency partners on how to do that effectively. And it's really exciting.
Win-win-win for everyone, right?
You got it. Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool. So to wrap us up,
I
have 5 quick-fire questions for you.
Okay, I'm a bit nervous about this.
Wow.
Do I need to be nervous?
No, you don't. Nothing too serious.
Okay.
First one. On site or off site?
Oh.
I know that was a bit mean.
That is mean.
You can choose.
I can't say both, can I?
You can say both.
I mean, you know what? That's wimping out. Saying both's wimping out.
All right. Okay.
Oh, I'm going to say this, right? And I'm going to say this because we're doing a lot of work at the minute on thinking about, as I say, that creative experience, particularly through video.
Yeah.
Where our customers are. I'm going to say on-site.
Okay.
But I feel, I want to say both, but I'm going to say on-site. Just.
Okay.
51-49.
Okay. Good answer.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Then, pub or restaurant?
Pub.
Yeah. Okay. What would be your ideal Thursday night?
So I'm going to sound like such an old bore when I say this, right?
No, that's fine.
I'm a big box set fan, right? I know it sounds, everyone says that, right? So I just started watching Pluribus. So
on Apple TV.
Yeah.
I haven't started watching it yet.
So I'm into that at the
watching
minute.
Ted Lasso, but I was going to go down to that next. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm into that at the minute. So my ideal Thursday night is probably catching up with that, listening to music, hanging out with my family.
Yeah.
My dogs. So maybe I'm a little bit of a home bod.
Okay.
Probably something like that. But tonight, it's probably staying up until the early hours of the morning to listen to the Ashes.
What's the?
Might be a bit bleary-eyed tomorrow.
Well, fair. But I understand. You have to watch.
Yeah.
Great. And then a final question for me. I'm not sure if that's 3 or 4, but what is the wing speed velocity of a swallow? I'm kidding. It's a quote from Monty Python.
Right.
Just messing with me. But
Do you want me to guess?
No. There is.
Sure.
Yeah, it's about that. Yeah, absolutely. Great. Well, look, thanks so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
That's a pleasure.
Yeah. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.